Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to This Will Be Named Later, a podcast about content creators, the creative culture, if you will. Now, this is a part where I act all professional and tell you what the podcast is about, but I'm not really good at being professional, so let's just keep it a buck. And like I said, we talk about creators from all walks of life, from all mediums, modders, podcasters, video content creators, vloggers, bloggers, everybody in between. But more specifically at this juncture, we're talking about wrestling creators because a lot of us are underserved in the wrestling community, but there's a lot of us creating content and a lot of content that needs to be consumed, that needs to be known about, and needs to be discussed, distributed, and brought forth into a bigger light. So I hope that with this podcast, we can do that and shine a light on some of these people that are making dope ass stuff for the wrestling community. And now a word from our sponsor.
OCWFed is a hybrid pro wrestling e-fed that combines elements of role play and competitive play using the WWE 2K franchise. Whether you're on PlayStation or Xbox, OCWFed is a creative outlet for gamers and pro wrestling fans alike. With over 16 years experience producing weekly content and live Twitch events, OCWFed has a thriving community with handlers from all over the world. If this sounds like your cup of tea, come check us out at OCWFed.com, OCWFedTV on YouTube, and OCWFed on Twitch. It's like D&D for wrestling nerds.
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is an independent wrestler, or hell, professional wrestler. From New Jersey, you heard Tony Chini. El Capo Grande. Why did I say it like that? But you get the idea. Tony's a good kid, good hair on his shoulders, a really positive, enlightening, and just, a really good dude. I like the fact that these episodes have been just dope person after dope person after dope person. So as long as I keep getting good quality, nice, normal, cool guests, I'm going to keep doing it. We talk about a lot of things from how he came up, his loves, professional wrestling, video games, shout out to the wrestling code, and a bunch of other topics. So sit back, relax, have a cold one, maybe some hot cocoa, and just know this was recorded about maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So there might be a couple of announcements that already happened. So just keep that in mind, just letting you know, because we do these 2 weeks in advance because I like to stagger content until I get more guests. So anyway, without further ado, it is Tony Chini, professional wrestler extraordinaire. Hey!
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 9 of This Will Be Named Later, a podcast about creators. With me is a independent wrestler, and his name is Tony Chini, and I believe you have many monikers. Hopefully, I don't mess them up, but I know one of them is the delivery boy. Is that correct?
That's right. I used to be referred to as the delivery boy. That's correct.
Oh, the artist formerly known as the delivery boy. But yeah, so our meeting is happenstance due to a similar Discord, the Wrestling Code, where shout out to Tim Boogie. This dude hit me up and he was like, "Can you vote?" And I'm like, "What am I voting for?" Because essentially, I guess now they're trying to get folks, like enough votes, and then they'll, I guess, offer them a contract or something. I don't know specifically how it works, but so he put your name in. So I say, hey, sure, no problem, whatever. And then it was you and somebody, I believe, Toxic Trent, who I also be talking to down the road. But yeah, so I looked them up and I was like, might as well talk to these people and maybe, hopefully, because I know the Wrestling Code sometimes listen to my stuff. So, if they do sign this man, give him a contract too, because we all need something, especially with COVID. And speaking of COVID, the first question I have was essentially, COVID done messed everything up, and for you particularly, it did. If you want to talk about it, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it messed me up in quite a few ways because when it first began, I had a whole bunch of stuff lined up. I was supposed to be going to Georgia. I live in New Jersey, for those of you listening who don't know, and I was supposed to be going to Georgia for the first time and wrestling a match. It was going to be a 3-on-3 match, but on the other team was going to be Dan Severn, who's a legend, and Dan Severn, the Beast. He was from UFC, WWF, NWA. Like he was a big deal back in the 90s, and it would have been a really cool experience. And that was one of the many things that was taken away from me. But and for a while, I was looking at that in a negative light. But I ended up changing it around and, kind of changed my attitude. And I ended up doing a fundraiser in the beginning of COVID and got like some pizzas and some food from Wawa and all this kind of stuff for the local hospital and all that. So that was a really cool experience. And from there, tried to, look at it in a positive way. But recently, as you just noted, I actually did have COVID-19. And it sucked. I mean, it was bad. It wasn't the worst experience, thankfully, for me. I know that other people go through it a lot worse. And I'm just thankful to have had kind of like, I guess, the medium end of it, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I was prepared, and I lost my sense of taste and smell, and I had a
Jesus.
fever for a little bit, and I was coughing and sneezing, and it was pretty bad, but definitely was not as bad as some of the things that I've heard. And I know that there's a couple of wrestlers and referees that I know of that had COVID-19 and haven't been back since because it just messed them up long term, and thankfully I've been able to get in the ring since being cleared. So.
Man, congratulations on that. I got my niece. She's a nurse up there upstate, and my boy, he's a nurse in the Bronx where I'm at. And yeah, man, like he caught it once. Yeah, well, actually, he caught it once. My niece caught it. Like it's no joke. Like a lot of my family caught it, and thankfully it worked out. So I'm glad it also worked out for you, and especially you hooking up that drive for the folks out there in Jersey. That's good stuff. See, I had a good feeling about you. Looking at your socials and whatnot, and we'll talk about that. So I thank God you're one of the good ones, at least for now. Maybe the system corrupts you many years from now, but it's not the '80s, so you should be all right. I don't know.
I can't give full credit to myself.
Okay.
For the delivery, I called it delivering positivity because I was still the delivery boy at the time.
Gotcha.
And so I have to give credit to my sister also for really like changing my attitude and kind of helping me kind of get out of the slump that I was in, because I was just kind of thinking like, oh, look what I lost. But she kind of got me to realize like, look what everybody's lost, everybody's going through something. And, I kind of did realize that, but it wasn't put into perspective until she did that for me. And then she told me, to change your attitude, do something positive for other people. You know what I mean? And that's what I do with wrestling. And I kind of lost sight of that. So the fact that I couldn't wrestle for that little bit, that annoyed me, but I was able to turn it around and do something positive. So, that's my message for anybody out there listening is, not that I raised money, not that I did anything like that, is that I turned my negative energy into positive energy, not just for myself, but for my community.
There you go. So shout out to Sister Chini. And gratitude is important, especially in something like this. I actually was mentioning something earlier today involving gratitude that, my dad always tells me that it feels good to give from the heart. And, you should always want to give. But for me, because I'm like an ignorant Hispanic and whatnot, like I don't like when people try to give and then there's like an ulterior motive to it. Like that's. So it just, the message in that is basically like what you're doing and what your sister helped you to do is turn things into a positive and to do from a place from your heart to be good. So I'm glad you were good people, because this is gonna be awkward if it was like, oh, you a scumbag. Damn, Tony. What a world, what a world. Damn. But anyway, so moving on. Like I told you before we started, like I'm very bad at interviewing for some strange reason, so I'm gonna just get to it.
No, man, no, I like it, man. It's a good conversation.
I'm doing the best that I can with what I got. So with wrestling, as far as I'm aware, you started in 2017. That's correct?
That's when I started training. Yeah.
Okay. So prior to that, what got you into wrestling?
So prior to that, 2004. No. Wait. Yep. 2004. Was the first year I ever found wrestling. It was January 2004, so right in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, Brock Lesnar was the champion, and Eddie Guerrero was chasing the championship. And the first pay-per-view I ever got was No Way Out, which was, I think, their second pay-per-view of the month, because Royal Rumble had just happened, but I didn't get that. But I knew what happened, obviously, from keeping updated. Yeah. But then when I watched No Way Out and I saw Eddie Guerrero capture that belt, like that was one of those moments that I was like, whoa, like I don't know, just everything that happened, everything that culminated, and then bam, like this guy, he was perceived as the underdog, like captured this belt, like it makes you feel something, you know what I mean? And that was the first thing. And then once I watched WrestleMania the next month, and I saw his match with Kurt Angle, and then on top of that, the triple threat match, the main event at the end between Benoit, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels for the World Heavyweight Championship. And after watching that match, I mean, that really, like, watching that match changed my whole perspective and made me like kind of feel like I need to be there. Like that's the place that I need to be. Like I want to be like not watching, but I mean, yeah, watching of course and still being a fan, but like I want to be that person too.
I hear that, man. Like to me, like those were some of the good times. Because when I was a youngster, I would go to my boy's house in Queens, and I remember specifically that WrestleMania, and we even had what number was that again? I don't remember the number specifically.
WrestleMania 20.
Yeah. I remember we had for some reason we got promo materials. They had like a cookie or some nonsense like that. But yeah, we was watching it, and like I don't know, man, it was just good energy and good time. So basically, you seeing that's what put the bug up your behind, and you're like, oh, I got to do this. And then you fast forward to 2017, and you're training and whatnot, and you're doing what you got to do. But along the way to train and whatnot, did you run into any kind of issues, any kind of obstacles and whatnot?
Oh, absolutely. And I just want to say, you know, I really like the format in which you're interviewing, you know, from the bottom and kind of progressing, because I don't get a lot of this. I'm not gonna lie to you.
What do you get? What do you get usually?
Oh, just a lot of sporadic questions and you know, things that are hard for me to answer on an interview sometimes, I guess. But you know, this is nice and formatted, and I appreciate that you did your research. But what's it called? Anyway, basically, I did have some obstacles along the way because my family definitely is not, you know, the biggest fan of wrestling. My dad would show me things, and he would tell me about old school wrestlers like George the Animal Steel was his favorite.
Yeah, buddy.
And Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant and all of them. And that's where I learned all that knowledge, because at the time, you know, I didn't have smartphone and I didn't have any of that to my, you know, at my fingertips like we do now. But I had all the magazines, and I had, you know, I rented the DVDs, I rented the VHS tapes. I did whatever I could to learn and study wrestling. I studied the history through video games, through, you know, anything I could literally find out. I would just study it. And like I said, I mean, whenever I would do something, let's just say, you know, in school or act out, you know, as a child, it was always kind of brought back to that, like, oh, well, you know what? It's probably because of wrestling, so we're going to take that away. So, you know, that's one of those obstacles where it's like, you know, everything was kind of blamed on that. And I don't want to, you know, put that on my parents or anything like that, because they weren't cruel or anything. It was just like, it sucks because like, it's not that I was trying to be like, you know, like aggressive. I knew what wrestling was. I knew that it was entertainment, and that's what I liked about it. And I, you know, it was just like one of those things where also my sister that I mentioned earlier, she has a spinal cord injury, and so she's paralyzed from the waist down. And my mom, you know, obviously gets nervous for me, so that's another obstacle. But you know, once she kind of realized, you know, the whole entertainment aspect of it, and the fact that your opponent, you know, as crazy as it sounds, wants to help you instead of kill you, you know, she kind of relaxed to the idea of it a little bit. So by the time I did find an opportunity to train in 2017, she wasn't too, I mean, all my family reached out with their concerns. I'm not going to lie to you, but, you know, throughout time, they kind of see that I have the drive for it, and I really want to do this, and I've wanted to do it my whole life, and they know that. So at the end of the day, they're really supportive of me.
That's good. It's good to have a good support system. And, you know, the fact that your family, they want to, that's what they do. Basically, that's what mom and dad do. They're like, oh, don't do that. You know, they want you to take it easy. But as a young person, you got to find your path, and you might fail, you might succeed, but you at least got to take that journey on yourself so that you can look back and look and say, you know, good or bad, I did what I had to do. And, you know, now I have that experience under my belt. And then you could also pass that down to anybody else you encounter, or children in the future with, you know, with a spaghetti queen, anything like that. You know, obviously not now, because you know how it is, you know, whatever. But you get what I'm saying. But that's good. Like, you got a good head on your shoulders. So so speaking of video games, and now you gave me props about being formatted, but it just notes. It's going in crazy. But so you mentioned video games, and I obviously the first question I was gonna have was regarding video games, but I was like, he might not be, because, you know, being, you know, at wrestling, you might just be out there trying to, you know, make a buck because it's crazy out here. But I actually saw a couple videos and I saw you had posters. Like, he got the posters. Okay, cool. And I saw a mailbag joint from, I don't know, maybe last year. And the mailbag joint, my man got the collections. Like, oh, okay, so he is. So I want to go into that. I want to diverge into that for a second because I'm going to assume you might be a wrestling gamer or at least a collector because my man from Britain hit you up with the one you was missing. Was it 2009, I think? The collector's edition of Was it SmackDown vs. Raw back then?
It was SmackDown versus Raw back then. Yeah. They he sent me the UK edition of SmackDown 2009. That's what it was. And that was actually really, really cool to get because I have pretty much all the special editions from they started doing it in SmackDown versus Raw 2007.
Yeah.
And they've done it all the way up until now pretty much. They didn't do one for Battlegrounds, but they did one for 2K20. I don't have the 2K20 one yet. And I think that might actually be the only one I'm missing. So
I mean, you ain't missing much, but if you want the collecting part, then yeah, because 2K20 is trash. Like,
honestly, I bought the game itself, and then I returned it an hour later, and I'm just kind of waiting for the opportunity to actually get the special edition stuff. I'm not going to worry about playing the game too much. Yeah. But I do play the games and I do enjoy them. I've been playing Battlegrounds a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have been playing a little bit of 2K20 because my friend has it, so he's been bringing it over. And
okay.
I also got 2K19. But I mean honestly, I'm kind of one of those people that likes to plug in the PlayStation 2 and play some SmackDown Here Comes the Pain.
Oh, my man Tony, a man of culture and taste. I knew I'd like your ass. I was playing that. What was it? I think a while ago with my friend Melon, or Milan rather. We call him Melon because Starbucks ruined his name. His name is Milan. But anyway, he's really good at video games and he whooped my ass. You know what you should do with Here Comes the Pain? They have God, what's this dude's name? You know New Legacy Inc. by any chance? The wrestling streamers, they do like the goofy stuff or whatever with the wrestling games. Anyway,
I can't say I do.
Okay, well, look them up. New Legacy. They way bigger than me, so whatever. But they do wrestling video games, and they one time they played. There's a version of Here Comes the Pain that's being modded by, I guess, a collective of folks. You can get it on it as well. I think I did at one point. It's kind of weird how to get like a copy of it, but anyway, the point is that they have like an updated roster for Here Comes the Pain. So since it's a collective, Roman Reigns was good, but Bray Wyatt is kind of like really bad, and but they have like a lot of new guys. AJ Styles is pretty good, and it's fun. It can expand on the Here Comes the Pain experience if you do it on PC. I don't know if it works on the PS2, but that being said, so with the current crop though, like, do you play or do you just kind of like just collect and peruse? Because 19's been here for 3 years, and I don't know if you know, but basically I run like a league, and essentially I just coined it D&D for wrestling nerds. So I'll leave it at that. Not to discount them, but the long and short of it is that we've been having to do online because it's player versus player. We had to use it for the last 3 years, and you got to reinvent the wheel to keep it interesting online with folks and to keep it, I guess, like fair and fun, because that's the most important thing. Because if you play online, I'm sure you can attest to this back in the day, especially with all the games, even like 05 or whatever, to now you play online. Sometimes you'll get some guy who wants to do Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, and you got some guy who wants to play Street Fighter 5 and beat you in 5 seconds, and it's no fun.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's kind of those types of Street Fighter 5 experiences are the reasons why I don't go on live a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly. And so I kind of do collect and I kind of play the game. Like I play online sometimes, very rarely, but for the most part, I like to play through the story. And
yeah,
I can't even tell you how many times. That's why I like the Here Comes the Pain, because the storyline is just phenomenal, and there's so much you could do with it. So I could play it over and over again. You know what I mean? And it's just still fun. But like sometimes I go online, and it's like sometimes I know that some people also have like the things like at their house where they could like kind of like switch off like the Wi-Fi or I don't even know. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Does I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just I'm just saying those experiences like kind of ruined it for me because I tried and but just recently I streamed something on Twitch. I just streamed like a couple of Battlegrounds matches. Like,
Yeah.
my big thing is I like to create characters and download the created characters. That's my big thing. Is like the CAW creation, all that. So and I do that, like, even in Here Comes the Pain, but I like to go on, like, I used to go on and like look up like the formulas, like, of like how their facial structure is and everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, and like totally go in depth and make sure that the person was exact. And then and my big thing is, like, even if they look like halfway decent, they have to have like a perfect move set.
Yep.
I'm in there, like, I even changed like the regular wrestlers, like in the games, like I go in their move set and change it up a little bit, because sometimes they give them things that's ridiculous for them, and it's like they're just kind of like trying to fill moves. You know what I mean?
You know what the best example of that is? Impact, TNA Impact, which you also have. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Body slam.
Change their moves in that game.
Body slam. Everybody got a body slam. I mean, it's a standard move, but like finishes was body slams too. Some of them. So we're not gonna talk about Impact, because Impact was
Did you ever play the Impact DS game?
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to throw my DS out the window. Didn't have fun.
I don't think I've ever seen Hulk Hogan do a running drop kick.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good, Tony.
I mean, it's fun to have, and I have it.
Yeah,
but it's not. Like, I mean, it's even fun to play, but just to make fun of. And like, I can't play through it though. That's the thing. Like, I played through the storyline, but it's like, oh my God, I'm doing the same thing. It's so repetitive, you know?
It's not fun. Like, that's why I did what I did, OCWFed.com, which is basically, like I said, a PvP league. So cats, they write like the old school, text e-feds, but then they also do videos and matches are actually competitive. So they're trying to win, but they're not trying to cheese. And that's the only reason I did that, was because in 2005, I had this dream, like, we're going to go online and play and it's going to be awesome. And I got beat up by a dude dressed like Spock, and it left a real bad taste in my mouth. So I said, you know what, screw this. I'll do my own joint. And, 16 freaking years later, we still here, crazy. Thank God for my people. My people, they put in the work, and all I do is put it together. So it's a tapestry, so it works out. But not for them, I wouldn't. But yeah, the call stuff is interesting too. So speaking of the call stuff, here's the thing that, like, I don't know if independent dudes know this, but what you gotta do is you gotta find one of them creators to do you, and then like that kind of helps bring the motion to the ocean with everybody else. So you gotta. There's a dude named Drake41 Gaming. He's a real good call guy. I don't know. I don't know if we cool like that. I would be like, hey man, you do me a favor, make Tony Chini for me. I don't know, but. You got to get with some of these dudes and they could hook you up. And then, there's even a dude, Big Righteous, who does movesets too, and he can get your joint down packed. They put you on the little display joint, and then next thing you know, people start downloading you, because you do have a very pretty big following on like a lot of social media. Like the IG is covered, your TikTok is covered, your Twitter is covered. You have a Twitch too, right? Yeah, you mentioned that. And your YouTube is covered. You're doing pretty okay. So like, you just got to get that little edge from that little community, and yeah, it might help. You never know. And at the very least, you get a carbon copy of Tony on 19, because 20's garbage. You don't want it. Your 2K20 Tony would look nice, but like it'll be terrible. You'll glitch through ropes and it won't be fun. But the 19 Tony, that'll be a little something. So you might want to look into that. Just saying.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because like as a kid in high school, I would watch all those videos of like, like the call showcase, and I'd go download them, and that's how I'd find out about them. But I didn't really know, like, I don't know if it's how, like, they are interested in me, so that they showcase me, or I contact them. I don't really know how that works, honestly. But it's actually funny you mentioned that, because on 2K, like, it's because of GTS, the show I'm on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, I have a lot of fans that go out and just make, like, all of us, really, like all of the people that go on the show are created on there. And I mean, obviously some of them are pretty bad and some of them are really good, but I was actually looking through 2K20 yesterday or the day before with my friend, and I saw that there was like no good ones of me. Like, there was like they all, I mean, it was just whack, man. It was just ridiculous.
I mean, I'll try to put in some calls. We'll talk about it afterwards. I ain't got pulled like that. I'm gonna let you know right now. You saw him earlier when I put out a Twitter like, "Hey guys, who ask questions?" and people like, but they ain't reply. So I ain't got the stroke like that. But we try to keep you. We try to keep you in the back of somebody's head. Maybe somebody do you a gratis because the wrestling code is why we kind of talking right now. So that being said, with the wrestling code, first of all, I know they're listening because they listened to my other video back like before Rona. So put this man in. That's the first thing. That's for me. Do me that solid if I got like that. As a matter of fact, GTS. That's my guy. What's my guy's name? The guy who runs GTS. I'm not a Grim. So he's in the game. So have him do you a solid because he got the bigger ear. If they actually put him in the game, they could put you in the game. Be like hey GTS, and then So do that, virtual baseman. I don't know nobody by the first name, so they not gonna listen to me like that. But they get the idea. That also with the wrestling code. You mentioned you had like this elaborate idea that you posted. I hope it's you. I hope I didn't confuse with somebody else. If I did, I apologize. But I'm pretty sure it's you. But you posted an idea regarding, the independence and the wrestling code. Tell me I'm not crazy with this.
Yes, that was
okay.
Me. Yep.
Thank God.
I don't know if they saw it, so I do hope they're listening, because I thought it'd be a cool idea if they kind of reached out to maybe some smaller, maybe like not like the smallest, but not the biggest indie promotions, kind of like some mid-grade, like indie promotions that are still reputable and they run well and maybe have good production value. So you go and you say, hey, I want to send over, I use this for an example, Sean Donovan and O'Shea Edwards.
Okay.
So I want to send Sean Donovan and O'Shea Edwards over to your promotion to have a match on behalf of the wrestling code. So you send O'Shea Edwards and Sean Donovan 2 wrestling code shirts that they wear out their entrance. And then maybe you give them their lower thirds when they come out. And when when their name pops up, it says the wrestling code logo on the side. You know what I mean? And it's just for their match. Like all the other matches are regular matches for whatever promotion it is. But just for that one match on the show, you kind of this is a match, sponsored by the wrestling code, just kind of gives the promotion a little bit of a okay look, the wrestling code knows about us, so that kind of gives them a little bump. And then the wrestling code also in return has kind of a match, so it gives people something to look forward to. Like now when you get that game, if you were there during that match or if you saw that match on YouTube, now you might want to be like, yo, I remember watching this match, and let's just say Sean Donovan won, but you wanted O'Shea Edwards to win. I can't wait to get this game so I could beat Sean Donovan's ass with O'Shea Edwards.
You know what? To that, let me add my spin on it, because every now and again I have a good idea too. I would take that one step further, and while the match happens, after the match, it is what it is. I don't know how rights work and whatnot, but you could have the wrestling code or even maybe the promotion do the match or do a match, that similar match within the wrestling code itself. That could also be like a promotional tool as well. So it kind of have the synergy between the game and then the independence and whatnot. And then there's all kinds of opportunities from there. Or you could take it one step further and have Sean Donovan and O'Shea Edwards put on the controllers and, not during the match. Obviously, that's kind of silly. We ain't that silly yet, but, fight each other in the wrestling code on behalf of their promotion with the wrestling code as well. And, WWE does it every now and again, but they don't know how to play video games, so it looks very cheesy and it's not visually appealing, but I'm sure that these two could figure it out, but using them as examples, but stuff like that. Shout out to FPR, Fair Play Rules. Play good online. Anyway, but yeah, so it's an idea. I like it. It could work. At the very least, the first part of it is lower thirds. That's After Effects. That's Premiere. Everybody does that nowadays. That's part of the toolkit of most independent wrestlers. Most independent wrestlers know how to edit video because you have to for your YouTube page, which you do. I'm assuming. Actually, no, not I'm assuming. I've seen it on your page, on your YouTube page. You're also a video editor as well.
Yeah. And that's what made me kind of think of it.
Yeah.
Like that. That's what made me think of the idea, because it's just the visualization of seeing that, and then kind of what you're adding is perfect. You know what I mean? They have that match, and then on top of that, now later on when they finally release some footage of the game, they release footage of Sean Donovan versus O'Shea Edwards. You know what I mean? And then they could do that, and they finally do that gameplay, and they show a couple of moves between the two of them. And then all of a sudden they announce that they're having a real match. and you just saw all this gameplay. So now you're like, oh man, these two are really having a match. Now I'm hyped to see this. So now you go see the match. Boom! It's like all sponsored by the Wrestling Code and Virtual Basement. And then, O'Shea Edwards wins. And then you're like, oh, man, I really wanted Sean Donovan to win. So I can't wait to get this game. And then, like you said, now later on, he challenges him to a rematch, but in the game. All right? So then he goes and they play the game, and now Sean Donovan wins. You know what I mean?
You got yourself a feud.
They both have a win over each other. Yeah, but one's in the game and one's in real life. So then they have to settle it in, some big cage match or something. But either way... it's good marketing towards, the Wrestling Code. And I think that what you're adding on is perfect. I think that it could all, fit together as just, another thing. And that's, if they want to spend the time and the extra money on it, because I'm sure they're already spending enough, time.
Yeah, they just got their motion. You know what I mean? The motion capture got it.
They're busy guys. You know what I mean? It's just, and I respect the crap out of them, because I know that this is they always say that it's a passion project on their Twitter, and that they've always wanted to do it, and this is what they're doing. And I respect the fact that they're taking so long, because I want them to perfect it, and that's what they seem to want. You know what I mean? It seems like they want to make the perfect wrestling game. So I'm very excited for the game.
I have bated breath, like I said, as someone who owns like a game league. We need these platforms that are actually, creative and workable to keep interest, because I don't really do it for me. I do it for, the community that I built, because it feels up to me. I go to freaking Puerto Rico and just stay at the ocean. But, I got people that rely on me, and they're like, this is their outlet. This is their, their escape. So it's like, you gotta look, hook them up. But, to use 2K19 for 3 years is kind of taxing, and then 20 can't be used. So we're looking at, AEW game. We're looking at the Wrestling Code. We're hoping that that 2K22 isn't garbage, or at the very least that their collector's edition is something that's worth the extra freaking money. So it's an upward battle. But first and foremost, Wrestling Code, my man's right here. Put him on the docket. Come on, it's Rona, son. You got to put my man on the docket. Grim, you don't know me, I don't know you, but you know him. Put him on the docket. Let him know. Put a good word in, who. So anyway. So
I appreciate it.
No problem, man. So back to some wrestling stuff. This is actually a question from my community, and I wish I had the guy's name in front of me. I believe it's Max. If not, I apologize. But anyway, so his question was basically, how does it feel to incorporate your Italian heritage into your wrestling persona?
That means a lot to me, because growing up, I used to spend a lot of time with my nonna, and for those of you listening who don't know what nonna means, it's just Italian for grandmother.
Yeah.
And she passed away when I was younger, but when I did have the time that I spent with her, she knew I liked wrestling, and she wasn't the biggest fan, but my grandfather, my nonno, who I unfortunately didn't meet, he passed away before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
He loved wrestling, and so she liked to talk to me about it, because it kind of reminded her of him. And we always talked about Bruno Sammartino specifically.
Ooh.
And he was, the Italian Superman. I mean, he came straight off the boat, Italy, and became one of the biggest superstars in America. And my nonno really believed in him. And it's one of those things that, I don't know, just like that kind of those conversations that we had and everything. I just felt like it was kind of right. Like, I should represent this. Like, this is who I am, this is who we are, and this is who, my nonno, grew up admiring. So I feel like if my nonno was alive and he had met me, then hopefully he would have enjoyed, the heritage kind of being, passed on. You know what I mean? Even though Bruno Sammartino obviously wasn't in my family or anything like that, it's just that he was in my family, and the fact that, he was a big part of him. He was in, a household name of ours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, got you.
So... yeah, I just felt like I kind of owed it to the Italian community, because they just, I don't know, I'm representing myself, and I'm representing, all of our people, I guess,
Yeah, you got to represent sometimes. Like, Proud and Powerful represents Boricuas to the fullest. And shout out to AEW, because they got the most Boricuas on the goddamn promotion. So that makes me incredibly happy, especially for not being recognized for so many damn years. Shout out to Savio Vega as well. But yeah. No, I dig it. I dig it a lot, man. So, but I was also thinking, if you ever go super hill, you can go I don't know if it's like what's the word I'm looking for? Bias to be like, oh, if he does mafioso, but like you could be like, I don't know, mafioso vibes or whatever from Bensonhurst.
Well,
Who
I mean,
knows?
that's kind of what I'm doing right now because, like, I go by El Capo Grande now. Which
Yes,
is
I saw that. So
yeah,
you going full mafioso?
yeah, because in Italian that means the big boss.
Yeah,
And what's it called? I run a group called the Mob Squad.
yeah.
So we kind of do our thing. We haven't been around in a little bit, but we're going to be making some appearances pretty soon. For those of you guys listening and missing the Mob Squad, and we're going to be doing some stuff soon. But yeah, I mean, I'm El Capo Grande inside and outside of the ring, so I got to represent it. You know what I mean?
Forget about it. You know, I have a couple of stories with paisans, but I ain't gonna share them on this podcast. Shout out to for Angela. But anyway, back to my question. So, what you call it? Thus far with your career, what would you say is your favorite match and why?
Definitely my match against Tony Atlas.
Yes,
And
I saw the thing about that. I didn't get to actually see the full match, but yeah, hey,
yeah,
they
I
putting you
mean,
with like some killers. Dan Severn, Tony Ellis. What's up with that, bro?
I mean, I wish I got to wrestle against Dan
I know
Severn.
you ain't get Dan, but it might
Tony,
be good that you ain't get Dan because Dan is a killer, son. I don't know, like even though you don't want to be like, oh, I fought Dan Severn and he put my arm behind the back of my head and now my
but
arm's
that's what I
full.
do. That's what I do.
Ah,
And,
no, come
I
on,
want to be able to tell people that Dan Severn broke my arm. You know
damn
what I mean?
son.
But
Chill.
anyway, when I wrestled Tony Atlas that night, I mean, it was just one of those experiences that it was so surreal that like when I left the ring, like I didn't even know where the entrance was because I was like just in like almost like a euphoric state.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know where I was, and it was cool because actually that was kind of like the night the Mob Squad came together. Speaking of the Mob Squad,
Okay.
because the person who came out with Tony Atlas, like who managed him, was Jay the Key Evans, and he was kind of like he wasn't around for a while, and he was like the ultimate baby face coming to kind of like help him because I had Francesca and Zach Ruby with me, and we were the Mob Squad, so he was just kind of there to protect him. So anyway, at the end of the match, it ends in double count out craziness, and we start beating up Tony Atlas, and Jay Evans comes over to make the save, but then he starts beating up Tony Atlas with us and takes off his shirt, and he's got the Mob Squad shirt on.
Nice.
So we were able to, and Tony Atlas had to be taken to the back, and I mean, it really made us look like a strong, imposing force, and it was cool. You know what I mean? It was just one of those moments that you look back on, and you don't really have moments like that often. So I was like, it was one of those moments where I really had to stop and kind of feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta enjoy that, and you have that story for the rest of your life. But
You
what
forget to do that sometimes when you're a wrestler.
Ah,
I know you said that you don't have a lot of wrestlers on here, but one thing that I can tell you from a wrestler's perspective is sometimes when you're just kind of wrapped up in everything and the show and what you're gonna do and what your opponent's gonna do and how the crowd's gonna react, you're wrapped up in all that and you're thinking about all of it and you forget to just stand there for at least 10 seconds and just kind of soak in where you are and like what the feeling of the room is and like what's really going on, you know what I mean, because you're
yeah,
so kind of wrapped up in okay, this is what I have to do, this is what's set, you know what I mean, just don't forget to just kind of sit there sometimes, like whether you're a wrestler or anything, you know what I mean, just if you're in a situation, you want to be able to look back and say, I remember that. And I remember being stressed out during that, you know?
yeah. It's good. You build these memories. So the next question is kind of it might be the same answer, but the next question basically is what is your most nerve wracking. But like what match gave you the most nerve wracking to work with? But is it going to be this match or is it a different match?
No, it's a different answer, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Surprisingly enough, because I was obviously very nerve wracked for this match, but at the same time, fortunately enough, I've actually gotten to talk to Tony Atlas quite a few times, like before having to wrestle him, like over like the last year or like maybe a year and a half. Like I got to have a few experience with him, and I was comfortable with him. He was a really cool, nice. He still is obviously a really nice, cool guy, and I always enjoy his company. So it was cool to finally be able to get in the ring with him, and it was nerve wracking, but it was also like I had that kind of comfortability of like this guy knows what he's doing, like you know what I mean.
Yeah. He basically, well, he's a professional. He's a freaking legend. He's huge, so you think I hurt you?
Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like if I get in the ring with someone with the same experience as me, or even a little bit more experience as me, like you can still have that feeling, like like in this situation, will he know what to do? In this situation, will he know what to do? But in this situation, it was kind of the other way around, where he might have been worried about me, like, will he know what to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, my most nerve wracking time was my first match ever in front of a crowd. Because I had a few matches at GTS before that, and I had trained the year before, but I was never actually in a match in front of a crowd yet. Because as soon as I went to a school, and the school was only open for the year of 2017, unfortunately, because there wasn't enough of us students. But it was owned by 911 ECW original.
Yeah, I remember him.
I went there, and I trained my ass off for as long as the school was open, and I'm lucky enough to have lived close to 911, so I knew him already, and so that's how I knew about the school, and was able to get in. So I mean, I pretty much owe my whole career to him, if we're going to be honest here. But regardless, now I'm rambling.
No, you fine. Don't worry about it. Don't second guess yourself. You good.
Fast forward to the next year, I found myself on GTS Wrestling, had a couple matches there, but those are different matches because they're not in front of a crowd. And, if something's happening or something goes wrong, we can cut and we can move on. And sometimes we do things to make it more theatrical. So it's not the same as a regular match, to where everybody sees you and everybody sees what you're doing. And everybody knows, if you mess up, they know if something's happening, you can't just stop and restart. Like, you know what I mean? You have to keep going with it. And having that first feeling was, even thinking about it now, it's nerve wracking. I mean, it's one of those things where, and then, I won't even discuss it on the podcast, all the crazy backstage stuff that was going on that day, between my opponent and what was going on. And it was just insane. But, it just, like, I thought at the time that was what the business was.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of nerve wracking. So I'm kind of glad that I was able to get some better experiences after that. But, I mean, I still do, they cherish that experience, because I remember taking that first bump. It was a clothesline in front of a crowd. And it was like, I went to go shake his hand, and then he pulled me in and gave me a clothesline. And I took the bump, and I just looked over, and I saw the crowd, react a little bit. And there wasn't a big crowd, but it was just cool to see people, reacting to what I just did, and like being able to feed off of their energy. And, the match overall wasn't too bad. There was a couple hiccups, but, as far as being my first match, like, a lot of people say I could have done a lot worse. So,
I mean, I ain't never been in the ring. So all my my pretext is from shooting interviews and just listening to old timers. But in my head, it's like, hey, Tony, what's your finish? Doesn't matter. I ain't taking it. And then you get a stiff clothesline or whatever. But I actually had a question regarding the backstage stuff, but I won't dwell too much into it, but I will touch on it later. So it's funny that you mentioned the school you went to was only open for a year. I had a question, but apparently I didn't write it down because I'm not a professional. But the question, more or less, shout out to Jamie. He used to wrestle in ICW a while ago. But his question was more or less, did you get like the majority of your were you able to get a well-rounded assessment of your training while you were there? So you said you were only there for a year and then the school shut down. So how did you take your training, I guess, to the next level, or what did you do to supplement, your continuing wrestling education?
Honestly, like in wrestling, if you really want to stay on top of your game, you really never stop learning. And you can never stop learning from as many people as you can. And one thing that I find, honestly, and this could be, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But either way, some people might take this, I guess, the wrong way. But staying at one school, forever, for years and years and years, which a lot of people do, and a lot of people, they throw a lot of money and a lot of time into these schools, but in reality, you're learning, a lot of the same things, and you are learning a lot of new things and different things along the way, but you're not going out of your comfort zone, and you're not able to work with other people other than the people that are learning in that same, field, in that same environment.
Yeah.
So, it's good to put yourself out there, and that's the best way to, in my experience, to learn is to put yourself out there and go somewhere else and train and go and take a seminar somewhere. Like I've been to seminars out in Illinois with Cowboy Bob Orton and who else was there? Killer Tim Brooks, the Four Horsemen. I've done, seminars with Eugene and Jimmy Rave, and just learn as many people as you can. And I just ask people for help, and I also go to schools and I ask them, hey, how much can I pay you to learn for the day, or to learn for the week, or whatever it is. And I just go and I learn from them. And sometimes something that one school was trying to teach me for an hour, another school could teach me in 15 minutes, just because, not that the other school was wrong, just that the way that they taught me at the other school was a different way and a different wording, and it clicked with me. You know what I mean? And the specific experience that I'm referring to is with arm drags. Like I went to 911 school for a year, and we did arm drags, and a lot of them were wonky, like not because of their fault, but I just wasn't getting it. I wasn't getting the concept. And I went to ECPW school, it's in, like, I believe, North Jersey. It's run by Gino Caruso, and I was training with the Kodak Bear, who's actually an ECW original.
Okay.
And he was teaching me, and this man is like 300 something pounds, so I wasn't expecting me learning arm drags. But I told him, he asked me, what is something that you'd like to work on? And I said, I'd like to work on arm drags. And he said, all right, well then let's do it. And we went over arm drags for like 15, 20 minutes. Like later, I was getting it and I was doing it. And he's taking these arm drags for me and just doing this for me. And I'm like thinking to myself, like this guy, like I could look up this guy on the WWE network, and this guy is taking the time out of his day to teach me, you know what I mean? And so what I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because people do want to learn, and they want to share their knowledge to you. And you could learn from a lot of great people that have come out of this business. And I know that I have, you know what I mean? I just I go to companies and I tell them, hey, this is something that I like to do. This is something that I do, and I'd like to learn more of this, or whatever it is. Don't be afraid to just put yourself out there, and you'll learn a lot from a lot of different people.
I mean, the saying goes, closed mouths don't get fed. See, my thing with wrestling is, there's a lot of good, but then there's also a lot of not good. So you kind of have to navigate those waters. And that's a thing that I don't know. I can't speak for anybody, but that's the thing that I don't know if a lot of, young up and comers know about, because there's so many promoters. Like everybody can do. I can do a promotion tomorrow if I want to, and not necessarily mean that I'm qualified to do that. And back in the day, oh, you work for a hot dog and a soda, and you're happy, but you're supposed to get what you're worth. So I find that navigating those waters could be tumultuous for somebody. So like you said, it's good to just put yourself out there and just try to learn as much as you can. But you also probably gotta watch out for some of them sharks in the water.
Yeah, for sure. And it's you're not wrong when you say sharks in the water. You know what I mean? I mean, I was telling you about my first match experience, and
yes.
that company. I'm not gonna,
you don't have to. Don't worry about it. I ain't fishing. I ain't fishing for that. None of that. I just if you want to be vague, be vague. But I'm not fishing for controversy. I ain't about that life. I mean, I like controversy, but I don't want to. If you get what I mean. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Exactly. I stay out of the drama of calling people out and all that kind of stuff. But I want to promote awareness, not calling people out, not saying, oh, this person screwed me, or that person did this, or that person didn't pay me, or whatever it is, because it happens. This is the thing. I want people to be aware that it happens. That's the biggest thing for me, is that, when you do go, like you said, you should know your self-worth. You know what I mean? If you're going to a show, what are you going to give to this promotion? Are you going to give them, a match that's worth this much? Or are you going to give them a match that's worth this much? Are you going to give them this much of ticket sales or this much of ticket sales? It's what is your self-worth? Put that together to yourself. You know what I mean? And don't let somebody else tell you what your self-worth is, because I'm not gonna like I said, I'm not gonna go
don't worry about it,
who it was or anything like that. But I will tell you that for a long time, I didn't know my self-worth, and I would go and I would work for free at these places, and I'd put my body on the line, and I'd get hurt and not know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do something like that to myself. Now I know that through those negative experiences, which weren't all negative experiences, they were learning experiences. And now I'm able to tell, like people like I'll put over some people that are newer that I enjoy talking to, or at least one of them is Flash Carter. I'm not sure if anybody listening knows of him, but he's an up and coming guy, and he just started training at the Wrestle Factory in Philadelphia, and that's when I met him at the beginning of 2020 when he started his training there. I did a session there because, like I said, I like to go to schools. I went there for 3 months, and when I was there with him, he was like one of those people that I kind of saw it in him that he was getting things really quickly and grasping things. So a couple months down the road, I got in touch with him, and I actually saw him on the boardwalk close to here, and we talked, and he said that he was still training, and I brought him down to a couple of my shows, and he's been doing really well for himself. And it's cool because all these negative experiences that I've had, I'm kind of able to tell him about it. And it's not that he's not going to ever have any negative experiences in his career. Oh, everybody does. But if you're aware that other people do have these experiences, maybe you'll kind of know in your mind, like, all right, I can get past this. This is just a bump in the road, but like the long-term goal is for you to succeed. So just keep pushing forward. Like, don't worry about those experiences. Just have them, learn from them, and teach others once you have them.
Yeah, like avoid pratfalls, because it's really easy to basically go to a promotion and a guy wants you to basically do all kinds of crazy horse shit, and he's giving you like $20. Like, there's no reason for you to be doing a moonsault to the outside with no padding, maybe on top of a chair with some guy who's only been there for like 3 weeks, who may or may not catch you, because you want to show out. That's not smart. That's not business. Yeah. And again, I'm not a professional in any capacity. I'm just using, common sense and logic. But there's guys out there that want that.
Right, that's exactly what you're saying. You're exactly right. But like the thing is this is my philosophy on it. Like if you know that you're gonna get paid $20, you have to be okay with that. And I'll take a $20 payday from a company that, number one, like if I believe in that company and I know that I could also make more off of that company in merchandise sales and and stuff like that, then I'll do that, because it's basically like, okay, they're gonna pay me $20 and I'm gonna do this, but now I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna sell 8 t-shirts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now I come back and I make a profit off of that, and I still didn't do any moonsaults. I did a scissor kick, a neck breaker, and my my finisher, or maybe I took 3 moves. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, they just want to see you, be you and work your character. But if you establish yourself as the character that does jump off of the things and that does do the flips and that does take the crazy things, then that's what they're going to expect the next time.
See, but that being said, my thing is that, like, it's not about maybe working per like a pay. Oh, well, if I'm getting this much, then I'll do this. But it's like that. It's really easy for a promoter to kind of get you to go, ECW versus CZW versus like I'm the second son of Sabu for like a hot dog and a handshake, and that's not right. Like you have to, not you particularly, but performers, artists, whatever you want to call them, they have to have that, like, okay. Because that's the thing, that there's people who want to what's the word, like predatory on that. Like, they want you to go show out and damn near kill yourself. And I don't think that it's worth it. I think maybe it's because I'm older now. Like, when I was younger, these ECW matches are like amazing to me. But when I look at hardcore stuff now, I'm like, oh man, please be careful, son. Like, you're old enough to be my son or something, or maybe at least my nephews. I'm like, oh man, Tony, don't get hurt. Don't get hurt, Tony. Come on, man. Like, it's just, you gotta, that's one of my thing is, like, I get concerned for the youth, because, there's promotions that look out for you, but there's also promotions that, they're just trying to get whatever, and they don't care. They don't give a rat's ass. They're not paying your medical bill. They're not paying that ER bill. So, like, you gotta have, like, performers, you gotta just know your worth, and you gotta play it smart. Like, you got the idea. You're like, hey, I'll do this, do whatever, and, build my equity, and maybe get my little merch table in the back, get some money moving out. Speaking of merch, you talk about that later, but moving forward a little bit, you mentioned moves in the arm drags, but I actually have a question regarding moves. So what is one of your favorite moves that you don't get to do too often?
That I don't get to do
too often. Something that you really like, but it's like, oh man, I just can't do that today. I didn't get a chance to. Like, what do you have any in your repertoire that fit that criteria?
See now, my personal wrestling style is I don't do a lot of high flying. I don't go off the ropes too much. You know, I keep it very simple and very character based. And
Yeah,
like my big moves are a knee drop and a drop kick off the ropes and a what's it called a scissor kick and those are pretty much the big moves and a neck breaker. You know what I mean? Nothing
got
too
you.
crazy. But the move that I usually don't do very often, but I do like to pull out sometimes is just a straight up pile driver.
Yeah.
Just a straight up pile driver. I like to hit somebody with the straight up pile driver. Sometimes one time I actually did it to somebody on top of a hubcap and I broke the hubcap in half.
Oh Jesus. I'm assuming the dude was okay though, right?
Yeah,
Did it right? Okay,
fine.
good.
Yeah, no, he
See,
was fine.
that kind of spot that gets my old man like, oh man, please be okay, man. Please. Please. Like I don't know. It has to be an age thing. I don't know what it is, man. But I remember in my youth watching ECW and like, oh man, you know what? I'm gonna train up. I'm gonna get bloody, and from Fordham Road, I'm gonna be the third Baldy from Fordham Road coming down there representing Castle Hill and whatever. Me and New Jack are gonna go to war. And then like as I get older, I'm like, you are a stupid man. You are a stupid child. Don't ever like no. Hell no. No. Like I'll see some of this deathmatch stuff, and it's not about being squeamish, but it's like I don't want people to get. I want the illusion to be. You know, I want the good illusion. You know, you get what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I don't want these people to be hurt. Like with certain fluorescent bulbs, like they have that dust. That's not good dust. Then there's some that actually they are fine that they get the desired effect. They look terrible. They look menacing, but you're fine. But then they have the one that has the dust, and the dust messes up your lungs, and they're not paying. Your promoter's not paying your medical bill from the pulmonologist, man. Like, come on. I guess it's the old man in me, Tony. I want y'all all to be safe. And perform to be Ric Flair's age. Be like Ric Flair, old as hell, still performing and making that money from the merch table, man. It gets me crazy, son. Oh man, I don't know, man.
Trust me, man. I try to tell people because you would expect me to do that often, and I don't. I've only had a few matches where any of that has ever been involved. But this is the thing. Like for those of the people who do that, and they don't get exactly what they should be getting as far as pay. The only reason that I would say that would be worth it, and for most people that do say this, and I understand this, is that it's more of like for an exposure thing. Like I might not be getting what I deserve right now,
Yeah.
but because I'm doing this right now, the right person is going to see it, and then I'm going to be getting what I'm worth for it. You know what I mean?
Got you. Well, bless up for that, and they hope we get the eyes. Hope they get the eyes, because I like that stuff kills me. Like they have what the hell was it? I don't know what it's called, but like they have it for Japanese flowers. It's like a pin. It's like a bunch of pins in like a block, and basically you stick the stems in those. So I see the match, and they're using that. I'm like, oh boy. So I'm thinking, all right, he's just gonna poke him with it. No, he takes it and then he hammers it into the guy's skull. And then after the show, they're pulling it out. The guy's smiling, and they're pulling it out, and and all I'm thinking of is like that's subhematoma. That's not cool, man. That does nothing for me. I'm okay with deathmatch stuff, but I just don't want these people to be maimed for the sake of being maimed for some crazy ass fan. Like, yeah, I love this kind of shit. Like, nah, man, it's cool, but hook them up. Like, shout out to Luther. I know Luther got over. Good for him. But moving on with that, and thank you for the answer too. A very, very well thought out answer. Regarding your career thus far, what would you consider? And this is kind of like a two-part question. So what will be considered your biggest pop, and maybe even your biggest non-pop, aka boo, that you've received thus far in your career?
Wow. So, oh man, I mean, there's two really big pops that come to mind, and there was one. I was at this. It was like a festival, and I was in this battle royal, and I was wearing a costume in the battle royal.
Okay.
And I was fighting. It was kind of like it was a Halloween show. So anyway, I'm fighting this skeleton thing. It's not a person. It's literally a fake skeleton. And I'm just being goofy.
Gotcha.
But the people at this festival, they're kind of like it's kind of a weird thing because it's a music festival, but there's a wrestling show. So not everybody there is there for wrestling specifically. So they don't like it in a crowd like that. You kind of have to know your crowd when you're wrestling. And in a crowd like that, they don't want to see, like the crazy spots and moves and high flying, because they'll be impressed, but they don't understand it at the same time.
Sure.
But they'll understand something like this, like comedy, so what I did was I was beating up the skeleton, and all of a sudden I have the skeleton in the middle of the ring, and I put him in a pile driver position, and everybody in the ring. And everybody in the ring starts going, no, don't do it. And now everybody in the crowd is yelling at me, don't do it. No, don't do it. So now I hear the crowd, and I see how they're reacting. So I say, you know what? I'm going to take this a step further. I go up to the second rope.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And I still have the skeleton in the position. And everybody's like, no, please don't do it. So I take the skeleton off, and I start putting him down. And all of a sudden, I swing him back up on my shoulders, and I give him the pile driver off the second rope, and I jumped it and made a big crash. And everybody just starts, whoa, just start screaming. And it was, it's just one of those things that's just, you would think that breaking your neck would get you one of those reactions, but in reality, I just did nothing.
I mean, you did. You performed. That's the beauty about wrestling or pro wrestling, whatever you want to call it. It's honestly, it's kind of like physical theater or physical drama. When you think about it like that, that's
like
when
it's kind.
Yeah, it's kind. That's the best. When you think about it in that context, I think that's the best way, because you as a performer, as a wrestler, you have to get that emotion, whether it's the cheers or whether it's the boos. You want to get people physically invested. Like in the olden days when, old women tried to stab, tried to stab Blackjack Mulligan or tried to kill Ric Flair or whatever, or, jumping over the ring to save Dusty Rhodes, stuff like that. That's back, back when people thought it was whatever it was. I don't want to use the word fake or real, but you get what I'm saying, respect for business and whatnot. But it's like, so now we don't have that. So the next best thing is to get people emotionally invested in what you're doing. So I need to know, though, did that skeleton explode when you pile driven it? Or did it stay together? Because I don't know how the fake skeletons work. Because if it exploded, that would have been bonus points.
We were actually surprisingly able to use it the next night.
Oh, damn. Resilient ass.
Night festival. But now all that remains is its arm.
Damn, because if it would have, if that skeleton would have exploded they probably would have, I don't think there was a roof, but it probably would have came off if it would have exploded.
Yeah.
His fingers hit somebody in the crowd or some shit like that, like a finger in the eye.
It was definitely crazy, and it didn't get the reaction I expected, because I expected people to want me to pile drive the skeleton, but it's almost like the people wanted me to give it sympathy. It was funny, you know what I mean? It's funny the way people react. But the other big pop I got was actually it was in the St. Louis area, but it was actually right outside of St. Louis in I think Belleville, Illinois.
Okay.
And anyway, it was at what they called the biggest fan fest in the Midwest, and there was about by the time we were wrestling, I think there was about maybe 400 or 500 people in there. So it was actually one of my bigger crowds. And what's it called? I come in the ring, and I'm still the delivery boy at the time, and I was actually defending the GTS championship.
Okay.
And I have the pizza box, and I tell my opponent, who was Onslaught, I tell him, hey, listen, we don't have to fight. Why don't we just have a pizza? You know what I mean? That's a pretty reasonable argument right there. So he says, you know what? Fine, I'll take a slice. So he goes and opens the box, and I have a hole in the bottom of the box, and I smack him in the face. So the crowd came unglued for it. I mean, it was one of the biggest reactions I've ever gotten. It was I still have the video. It's one of my favorite videos I have.
Yeah, it's the wholesome version of the SNL in the box skit. Damn, I'm a sucker for goofy shit. So if I was a promoter, I'd book a lot of goofy stuff because I don't know, I like laughing. You ever get super the skeleton? The skeleton, I'm assuming, was that the skeleton was a pop. There wasn't super heat. What did you got you that super heat, if ever? I'm assuming it might be the Tony Atlas thing, because who everybody loved Tony Atlas, but is it you ever got nuclear heat?
I was about to say, yeah, I got some pretty good heat for the Tony Atlas thing. Because they didn't expect Jay Evans to turn on him, and when that happened, it was just one of those moments that everybody was they were almost speechless. You know what I mean? Because there was a lot of people that are fans of me, that when I was babyface at that promotion that was kind of like, oh, you know what I mean? Like now he's a heel. You know, I'm booing for this guy, but here's Jake Evans. He's the he's the favorite. He's the babyface. We could still cheer for him, and then he joins us, and now it's like, oh my gosh, who do we have left? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like one of those where everybody just kind of went silent, like, oh my gosh, like what just happened?
There you go. It's about the reactions. So I have a quick question, because this is something that I don't know if I have to blame Stone Cold Steve Austin or not, because when he started this podcast, but how do you feel about the layperson using I guess, you know, wrestler speak? I've always felt like a type of way about it. Like, I don't know, because it kind of feels like that's like y'all's vernacular. In my experience, it would be like, let's say I'm a Latin king or a Crip or a Blood, and I got some rando doing a Crip walk. It's like, I'm gonna knock you the hell out. But so with wrestling, it's obviously it's a bigger fraternity and whatnot. But you personally, or just you in general, like, what do you think about nowadays the usage of I don't even know what it's called. Is it called carny speak? Is it called kayfabe? I don't know. But the vernacular of people saying, "Oh, that popped me. Oh, I'm a heel. Oh, you a face." Like laymen, not people in your position, but you know, just the dudes in the street, or quote unquote the marks or whatever the hell it's called. What you think about that?
You know, I mean, I can only speak for myself, obviously,
ahead,
but
yeah.
when I do speak for myself, I guess I kind of say when I hear people saying that, like if I see a fan and they're, you know, trying, like you could obviously tell, you know, some people are just kind of trying to do it.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, like I kind of have to put myself back in a time when I was a fan, where I would have loved to be able to go up to a wrestler and talk to him like that. And you know what I mean, and not be able to be judged for it, or kind of like have like the wrestler kind of play back with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, although like the fans, they don't know everything that we say. They don't know all of the lingo. They don't know all the talk. They don't know what everything specifically means. So, you know what I mean? When I see somebody just trying to do it just to kind of for the matter of fitting in or whatever, I kind of just play along and you know, laugh at it. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to make somebody feel like they're not included at a wrestling show, because at a wrestling show, you know, when the fans go, when the wrestlers go, when the refs go, when the video production staff goes, they're all a part of the team.
Yeah.
Even the fans. And you know what I mean? So if they feel like they want to say that, like I said, just like now, I'll laugh it off and just kind of be like, all right, you know what I mean? Like, I'm glad you're having a good time, you know?
Yeah. Good guy, Tony. You too good. You too wholesome for this world, Tony. I don't know. I be talking to a lot of people, and you too damn wholesome. Good for you. So let's go to something that's a little less wholesome. I love my segues. I'm so professional. We kind of talked about it, but I'll try to get a little more information. So you don't have to go super deep into it. You know, just we'll keep it at face value. So as I mentioned earlier, as some of you folks listening hopefully know, being an independent wrestler means you have to deal with various promoters, and with all things, if you know, you know. Do you have any like really good promoter stories? And then I also have the part about you have any bad ones. But let's talk about the good first, because you're a very positive guy. So let's keep that theme.
I mean, I have plenty of good and bad promoter stories for sure. But I mean, as far as
just give us a quick one, like a quick good and a quick bad. Then I don't want to make it crazy.
Absolutely, yeah. No, for a good story, I mean, I could just I'll just put over the company as a whole.
Go ahead.
UWC is just one of those companies. It's one of the first companies I got to work for, and they've been nothing but awesome to me and Francesca the whole time that we've been there. They've, you know, they run a lot of like really good events. Their fan base is just awesome. Their fans, like they love the product, and they keep up on us. Like they know what we're doing, even though we're not the biggest company.
Yeah.
Like to them, we're the biggest company, because like we have such like a loyal fan base at the UWC that it's incredible. And that's one of those promotions. Like they were gonna let me and Francesca have our wedding there. And, it's still we're still planning on having our wedding with UWC. It just got back because of COVID. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's just one of those, like that's one of those stories where I met really good people through wrestling.
And that's based in Jersey, right?
Yes, that's in New Jersey,
Okay.
Wrightstown, New Jersey. They always run pretty much the same place, Kelly's Bar in Wrightstown, New Jersey. They run monthly events, and anybody listening, I mean, check them out if you're in the area, because we have a lot of fun. They like to keep it like, PG, and they just like to keep it but we do have some edgy characters too, don't get me wrong,
It's okay to be PG, Tony. Nowadays, everybody too goddamn edgy. I'm edgy, and I ain't even trying to be edgy, so it's okay to be PG, bro.
Everybody likes that, that edge, but we keep it PG for the most part, and it's just a good family fun event, and it's one of those places where, like, if you have your kid and he's never been to a wrestling show and you want to take him, like, that's a good place to start, because it's very interactive and very kid friendly, and we just it's one of those good places. But I've had some bad experiences where I don't even
see, like, you too positive, so, like, I'm not trying to get dirt for you, but, like, you don't have to look, Tony. You ain't gotta dig deep. You don't even gotta say names, but you can just elaborate on the bad experience. The person ain't never gonna hear this anyway. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, so and so in Allentown, PA. No, I don't care about none of that. You can just elaborate what exactly happened, like, so go ahead.
Well, oh man, well, I had an early match of mine, one of my earlier matches, where I was already, a nervous wreck, because, as I told you from my first match, I was just a nervous wreck in that match. So
yeah,
my first couple matches, I kind of felt the same way. So in one of my first couple matches there, I'm already nervous, and then my opponent is just nowhere to be found the whole time. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Like, what are we going to be doing? Eventually, we find him, and he's ready to go in his gear, like at the curtain, like we're next. We barely know what's going to happen. And, oh, yeah, I also had to change my name for the event. And
what?
Yeah, it was crazy. So then my opponent proceeds to pretty much chug this bottle of brandy right before we go out. And
is he my age? Because God, I'm sorry.
Not the whole thing, but quite a bit.
Yeah.
And, so I declined because he asked me if I wanted some, and I was already nervous. Like, oh my God. So then he had his boys go out before him, like, to kind of like introduce him.
Yeah.
And he rubbed baby oil on his boy before he goes out, and he spills the whole. Listen to this. Spills the whole bottle on. Okay, so there's baby oil everywhere, all over the floor, all over the sky, and he is not visually appealing. So he goes out there and he's flexing. Like I said, not visually appealing. Baby oil all over the place. My shoes are slippery, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna slip during this match. This is like, this is crazy. Like,
yeah,
like this is one of my first experiences. So then I go out there, we're doing our match, and at some point we're on the outside of the ring. And he picks me up to go run me into the post, and baby oil everywhere. We slipped right on the ground.
Oh.
Yep. And then he blames me and proceeds to chop the crap out of me.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. And that opponent just so happened to be the promoter of that company.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Jesus. Hey, kid, you want some? You want some? I don't know. My mom used to drink brandy. I don't even know the name of the goddamn brand of it. But yeah, you want some brandy? Now I'm good. And then I like how you said visually unappealing. This is how I know you're actually a good person. Cause I just would have said a hunk of garbage, but my man said visually unappealing. I mean, yeah, no, that's a bad experience. That about sums it up. Hey kid, I slipped. So that's my like old timey wrestling voice. I got that from somebody, I don't know who, but yeah, that's
just trying to add a couple of brothers and
brother.
Yes.
Right. Hey brother, you want oh man, if it don't come in the manila envelope, I don't want it. Jesus.
Hey brother, you want a little bit of the gimmick here? Get your confidence up, brother. Brother, do great out there.
Brother, I like that. Brother, get your confidence up. Put on the show. Oh my God! All right, bet perfect. Yeah, you got the answer I wanted. Good shit. So we're almost done, so I won't keep you too much longer. But we got a couple of things left. So as I mentioned earlier, you are super duper duper on socials. So shout out to that, because I still can't even figure out Twitter, as you noticed. I even gave you like, you're like, hey, do you have Instagram? I'm like, I do, but I got my personal account. So you got my personal account, and then you have my like league Twitter. So please don't share the personal account. I mean, I like stuff, but you know how it is. Anyway, so your joint is all over the place in a good way. So the question basically means that I want to ask you is, what's your general consensus about social media? Honestly, positive or negative?
Both. Definitely both, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, before wrestling I had no interest in social media, and I didn't want to use my Twitter. I think the same Twitter that I use for Tony Chini was my regular Twitter that I just had activated, maybe had like one or two tweets on and just never used, and then I just kind of converted it into my Tony Chini one. But I mean, really, for the most part, I never had any interest in it. Didn't really care. I posted to Instagram here and there. Like if you dive down really deep into my Instagram,
yeah,
you'll see like a bunch of my posts before I was wrestling, and just like, you know, stuff with me, like hanging out with friends and stuff. Nothing too crazy. But I mean, for the most part, I'm gonna say that it's a good thing for wrestling now, because although it kills a lot of things, like a lot of people, you know, it kills like a lot of suspense, a lot of surprises, a lot of, you know, a lot of things that we used to get before, like a lot of moments that we used to have, like we can't have that anymore. Like a lot of times where like we were watching wrestling and all of a sudden like somebody pops up and it's like, oh my God, I would have never thought. Like nowadays it's like we already know they signed the contract like 4 weeks before that, you know?
Yeah.
So, and it's really hard to keep a secret, and that's probably the worst part about it. But the best part about it is that, honestly, without social media and without, you know, my following on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all the things, Cameo, all that stuff, like I wouldn't have, like, I mean, number one, I mean, that big fan base that I have, I wouldn't have, like, I wouldn't have a platform to put all my stuff on. I would just kind of hope that people see it. And that's how it was back in the day. You kind of just hope that people see it until you get on that big TV platform. But now I'm in a situation where I kind of started my career on a big YouTube platform with, you know, the show I'm on being, you know, a show that has over 1 million subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
It's intimidating to start that way. But at the same time, it's a blessing in disguise, because like now I have this following that I kind of like I had like a jump start to get. And now it's kind of up to me to keep that and build that from there. So social media is a really good tool in doing that, and having people know me, because now, like I said, I'm from New Jersey, but I travel out to Illinois or Ohio or New York or Pennsylvania or Delaware, North Carolina, wherever I go, and there's at least one or two people usually that know who I am already because of the show on GTS and because of the exposure, putting yourself out there, putting yourself online. And, you know, that some people will come up and say, hey, I saw you in this battle royal. And, you know, just something random like that. And it's like, I didn't even know there was a video out there with me in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, just it's just, you kind of have to just use it to your advantage. And I know that is kind of sucks for some people. And I've actually helped a couple people get onto social media, because like I know how it is not wanting to get on. But once you finally get used to it and you're able to use it as the tool it is, then it's definitely beneficial, especially right now. Not gonna lie, like a lot of my income right now is based off of you know, t-shirt sales and cameos and all that kind of stuff. I really depend on that.
Yeah.
And social media helps me greatly. Without social media, like what would I do? I mean, I'd put an ad in the paper and hope I get a couple of bucks. I don't know, but you know, I mean, this is one of those things where, even though, like I said, it does ruin a lot of things, it can really help make you as well.
It's beneficial. Like I say this, man, you need to, like, whenever you get some free moment, maybe teach my ass how to do YouTube, because I've been at it for a minute and I'm just trying. But then again, as a wrestler, it's a better niche to be than a league, because like, damn, because I was looking at your stuff, I'm like, yo, this guy is popping. And for someone who's like, I don't really even like social media, you have what's the word I'm looking for, apt at it. You're not bad at it at all. Like, I don't mess with TikTok because I'm scared of you know, Chinese hackers or whatever, because I'm old and crazy. But you know, speaking of TikTok, you got a lot of people on TikTok. I saw you had an interview with somebody because I've been trying to do research and whatnot, and then I saw something about a TikTok terror. I'm assuming that has to do with your initial spot with Grimm, and it's GTS, right? Is it? Did I say it wrong? GTS?
Yeah, the
Okay.
TikTok Terrifier is actually like a thing that's going on right now.
Okay.
It's basically just like it's one of the things that is coming in and terrifying Grimm, and basically they just kind of released some information on it today on today's GTS episode.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give too much away
no
about
spoilies.
it.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that basically we've been dealing with this fan specifically, like kind of recording our stuff and putting it on TikTok. And there's a motive behind it that you'll find out on today's episode if you watch it.
Very, very fancy. Good for that. But yeah, and you're on TikTok. Like I just looking at all of your socials, you actually know what you're doing. So you should probably do consulting for some of the other cats. Maybe get some extra income revenue too. Because the trick is, as an independent entrepreneur, you want to have multiple revenue streams coming in. Never want to have just one. So that might be something you might want to look into. Tony Chini Social Media Enterprises Incorporated LLC. What is it? Partial liability, PLLC or something like that. Whatever. Limited liability. Like I ain't liable for all your nonsense. So we're coming to the end, but I got a couple left. So with the current state of places like WWE, AEW, Impact, MLW, etc., 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 do you see the need to venture out from indie wrestling?
I mean, it really kind of depends on your goals.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, if it also depends on money. I mean, if you're an independent wrestler and you're fortunate enough to be making enough money where you don't need a contract and you're also getting your name out there and happy with the way your career's going, then you don't need a contract. I mean, kind of a bad but good example to use is Joey Ryan.
Yes.
Because I know that he just recently had some of his own, I guess, scandal or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But look past that and look at how his career was going before any of that. It's he was making a lot of money off of independent wrestling, and he had no contract, and he had no interest in signing a contract because he bought a nice house off of independent wrestling, and he had all these nice things because of the way he was able to promote himself. So I don't see the need to sign a contract, but I mean, for me personally, I would love to sign a contract because, in the end of the day, like when I was a kid, the goal was to be in the WWE and to be a television wrestling.
Yeah.
Wrestling, you know what I mean? It's just, that's at the end of the day, that's my goal. So for me, I would want, that's my goal. That's where I would want to head. But do I think it's essential? No.
The best part about that is the second part of the question is, where would the dream place be and why? And you said it, so I didn't have to ask it. This is why you good guest, Tony. When I get more popular, we'll have you come back. But yeah, so here's the thing with WWE. Like, I used to be a diehard WWE fan. I'm not gonna get into why I'm not one now, but long story short, being a fan for, I don't know, a long time, because I am ancient. The thing that, like, my interest slowly kind of went away because when you realize what the status quo is and that the ship doesn't change. So that's kind of bummed me out. That's why I'm a big AEW guy now. I'm not like a super mark or whatever the hell it's called, but we have arguments on Discord and whatnot. Go ahead.
Like, honestly, like, I mean, even though, like I said, I've been watching the WWE my whole life and that's the goal. Like, I mean, even if I had an AEW contract, that's still the goal. You know what I mean? Just to be a television wrestler, like, you know what I mean? In general. Growing up watching TV and that influencing wrestling, it wasn't just WWE. It was also, TNA and also going, like, I mean, having grown up in the era where like YouTube and all of that was just finally coming up, like I was able to also experience other companies and stuff. But having the TV wrestling was TNA and WWE, and you know what I mean? So even if I spent time in Impact, that would be amazing because, I grew up like watching them and they're still around. So, I mean, either way, it's just I would just like to have, a contract, and I'd like to make money off of it. And in the end of the day, I'd really like to be a trainer and share my knowledge to people.
And that's the beauty of the statement. So I don't know. I'm sure people that listen to me, like, they know more or less what I say regarding it. But when I go online, I'm not gonna get all worked up because I usually tend to get worked up. I've been keeping the PG with you because I respect you and you're very wholesome and pleasant and polite. So without getting too worked up, my thing is like when you go on Twitter or whatever and you see people say things like, oh, Kevin Owens, you need to go to AEW. They'll treat you and your family right. It's like, listen, homeboy, my guy is making a wonderful living. Is he the world champion? No. But he's fighting the world champion. And guess what? He doesn't care that he isn't the world champion. He's able to provide for his family. He doesn't have to travel much because there's Rona. And, you know, he has a good schedule. He has a good life. He has a good paycheck and his family's taken care of. So shut up. I don't like these people they need to understand that, you know, there's some wrestlers who I want to be the best in the world, and that's perfect. That's good for you. Go where you need to go, do what you got to do, travel the world, and be Ryu, World Warrior. That's cool. But it's also okay to be Dolph Ziggler, making 6-7 figures, and just doing what you do. Like like wrestling fans need to understand that as a whole. Like it's not necessarily about oh hey, you know, they'll treat him better here. Some people, yes, but most people. It's you perform, you're on TV, you do something you love, you provide for your family, you save, you have a good life, you put money away, you build interest, you build enterprises, and you live a good life. So I don't, so wrestling fans need to understand that. Not all of them, but some of them do, because it grates me. Like you said it, you just you want to be on TV, you want to work. That's what you want. Of course, you want to probably be like a top guy or something, but it's not going to, I don't know about you personally, but I don't think it's going to kill you inside if you're not a top guy. If you're on TV, you're doing what you love, and you're making a good living for you and your future wife. Am I wrong?
No,
Am I wrong?
That's the thing, man. No, I mean, the thing is at the end of the day, the goal is to be on TV making money in the industry, and that's what I want to be able to make money off of wrestling and only wrestling. You know what I mean? And like you said, I don't have to be the world champion. Of course, everybody wants to be the world champion. You know what I mean? But I don't have to be there as long as I have that. As long as I've made that goal to get to television and be a wrestler and be, living my life off of what I love, then I won't have to work one day in my life as far as concerned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a good. Nakamura surfs all the damn time. He's happy as a clam. He don't care that, whatever. It's just, come on, man. Some of y'all need to, like, relax. Those are the same people that like saying, hey, Tony, did I work your brother? Like, dog, no, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. I'm good. Moving on. We got, like, 3 questions left. So this is kind of a long question, so you feel free to compartmentalize it in any capacity that you want. Make it simple. What are your long-term goals? The 1-year plan, the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan? You could just summarize it. You don't gotta go crazy.
Yeah. I mean, between the next year. Right now, there's a lot going on, like in my personal life and everything. Yeah. So, in the next year, I do also, besides the stuff with my personal life, have a lot of opportunities coming up that I haven't even announced yet, and that I'm not able to announce yet, but a lot of good opportunities coming up in the wrestling world.
Fantastic.
Where by next year, I want people to look at those things and say he took those opportunities and he ran with them. So, you know what I mean? That I guess the next year is really running with those opportunities, and the next 5 to 10 years is working my ass off and just climbing up the ladder and making, this dream that I just talked about today come true, and being able to listen to a podcast like this, or an interview I did another time, or a promo I did another time, and look back on it and say, I had aspirations to be where I am now, and now I'm here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. I mean, yo, you start building that wave. Come on back, man. Remember where it came from. Let me stop. Let me like I'm jumping on the bandwagon. Like, yo, Tony, remember me, Tony? That one guy from the Discord, remember me, Tony? I'm on Instagram. Hit me up. Nah, it's good. You got to have a plan. That's the thing. Like, most people, they don't have a plan necessarily. So if you don't have a plan, you don't have a goal. As long as you have some kind of plan, some kind of action, you can at least achieve something and then work from there and build from there. That's how it usually works.
My main plan and goal, like if I have something set in mind, other than being a world champion or anything like that, the real goal is to make a name for myself in wrestling, to where people know who I was, they respect the name, and that I'm reputable and respectable enough to be able to teach people later on in life. And people aren't like, wait, who teach you? Wait, who taught you? Wait, who was that? I don't know who that is. Like, I want people to say, oh, okay, I respect that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a scrap iron. That's, they very respected.
Like Iron Mike Sharp.
Yes,
he's
yes.
He he might have not. He was never the world champion. Like, he was never one of those people that won every single match that he went out to. But he was so respected for who he was in the wrestling industry that when he became a trainer, people knew, okay, you were trained by Mike Sharp. Like, that's a respectable name. We know who that is. He's done his bit. Like, he's done like all his stuff. He's paid his dues, and he's the man. So we trust you because we trust him.
Yeah, and you got guys like Kowalski or Kishi, etc. The list goes on and on. So wrapping it up,
I wish that Big Al 911 still had his school, because honestly, like getting into the business, like, I really didn't, like, obviously I knew who 911 was, and I had I was a huge fan of his.
Yeah.
But like, I knew that he wasn't the most biggest name in wrestling, but at the same time, I mean, you would be surprised how many people within the actual wrestling world know exactly who he is and respect him, like, to the highest regard. And so I can't be, I'm very fortunate to have been able to learn under his tree,
You know what's kind of hilarious regarding 911? And this is kind of, I don't know if this is a testament or maybe a homage, but when I started my league years ago, we have commentators, and one of them is Big Al Poling, and he's like the color guy. So shout out to 911. Basically, shout out to him. He's a canon character now. You just used the quote unquote shoot name. So shout out to him for that. So hopefully things turn around. So two more joints left, and the first one is for anyone listening, do you have any advice if they want to get into professional wrestling?
Yeah, I said it earlier, and I'll definitely reiterate. Never stop learning. Just go and learn wherever you can, and you know what? If you want to keep putting money into one place, I'm not saying that that's the wrong option, because there's a lot of people that go to reputable schools like Create a Pro, Wrestle Pro, the Wrestle Factory, and Ring of Honor, Worldwide Dojo, all these good places, and they keep there the whole time, and they do get to TV, and they do get these good opportunities. But I've learned, honestly, from the most people that get the best experiences is by learning from the most people that they can, not just one. So keep yourself out there and keep an open mind, but also take everything you hear with a grain of salt.
There you go. When you visit Florida, go visit the Team 3D, I think it is, and also Flatback.
Yeah.
Might as well. My boy's going there now.
One of the head trainers there is John Cruz, and I didn't go to the school, but he was doing kind of like a seminar before a show one time in New Jersey, and I got to wrestle with him a little bit, and so he was really, really cool, and he had a lot of knowledge. It's just like that was an opportunity that not everybody had to do that. Like, not everybody at the school or at the show rather had to do that, but he was there offering it. And the people who took that experience, now they have that experience. You know what I mean? So just when you see something like that, if you're at a show, like, don't ever get to the point where you think in your head, like, oh, I don't need that. Oh, I don't need to go in the ring. I don't need to do that. I don't need this experience. You always need that experience.
Spoken like a true journeyman who wants to perfect his craft. So this is the part of the segment where we wrap things up and essentially you plug everything. But before you plug what you got to plug, here's one thing we spoke. Yeah, right. I know it's gonna probably take like a half an hour because you got mad stuff to plug. But first and foremost, though, you're doing a homemade shirt hookup, and I wanted you to talk about that, because basically I was gonna tell you, if this podcast went well, I'm gonna get one, but I will get one, obviously, just to show support for a fellow independent. Well, I'm not a fellow, but for an independent wrestler, I was saying fellow, like I'm fellow. I'm not a fellow. I'm not a peer, but I guess a fan. Whatever.
Well,
you want to call
you are a peer. Well, I'm gonna call you a peer because you're within this business. You're here and you're keeping wrestling alive through your podcast, whether you have wrestlers on or not. Your podcast is a wrestling related podcast, and without people like you putting out the content about wrestling and constantly keeping it in everybody's names and everybody's mouths, then I mean, what else are we doing other than rolling around and touching each other for nothing?
Well, you're getting 2 shirts now. Anyway, so break us down. How does this work specifically? Because I know I'm doing one, but just in case anybody else listening might want to cop one. How break us down on this one, because it's a little different than usual, because you have a pro wrestling t-shirt and shop and your joint, you got like a lot. I was very impressed. I'm like, yo, this guy, yo, the pro wrestling tees spot is on point. The TikTok's on point. The IG's on point. The Twitter's on point. You got 4 digits on the YouTube as well. You doing it the way you're supposed to do it. So good for you. But explain to us in layman's terms. Explain to us the shirt hookup joint right now.
Sure. So it's yeah, like you said, it's not the same process necessarily as going on a website and ordering a t-shirt, but it sort of is. But also I try to make it personable, because when you go on Pro Wrestling Tees and you order a shirt, then number one, you're paying for shipping. And, I mean, it's not that much, but you're still paying a little bit for shipping. Number two, you're not getting it from me specifically. And number three, you're only getting the shirt. So when you order it from me, all you have to do is email me at booktonychini, BOOKTONYCHINI @gmail.com. You email me there. You just say, hey, I'm interested in a t-shirt. And then we talk it out from there. I'll show you the designs we have available. You pick the design. You tell me what size. And all I do is I send you my PayPal link. So it's pretty much the same thing as if you're paying on like a website. They usually pay through PayPal anyway. So I give you my PayPal link. We also have Cash App and we have Venmo for those of you who don't have PayPal. But we basically what we do is we charge $20 flat with no shipping fees in the USA. And and then you pick your design, and we also send it out with an 8x10. So that's a little bit extra something. So you get to save a couple bucks on shipping. And on top of that, we actually end up making a little bit more in the process. So you support us just a little bit more. And on top of that, you get a handmade touch, because if the design's just a little bit crooked, we did that. You know what I mean? Like if the design's perfect, we did that. If there's a signature on there, we did that. You know what I mean? So that's all coming from us specifically. And that's kind of the selling point.
Basically a handcrafted experience.
Exactly.
Oh, no doubt. So I got you after that. No question. But but I gotta ask though, like how the shirts run, because I'm a big lad, like most wrestling fans. Actually, I shouldn't even front myself. Like I got me at a WrestleCon a couple years back. They convinced me to get a 2X Andre shirt, which is kind of too big. But then I bought an extra large shirt, which is kind of too tight. And then I got another extra large shirt, which fits just right. So I need to know like how your joints fit, so I can figure out which one I'm gonna get for my big ass. So we can talk about that after.
I'd say they run a little small.
All right. So I'll probably go with 2X just for the hell of it, and hopefully if I wash it, I don't know, maybe I'll expand to it. Whatever, we'll go with 2X. Anyway, is it extra for 2X or not? I don't know, because sometimes it gets extra.
No, usually I know that like I don't think 2X is an extra cost, but like some of the
oh no, when you get to the 5X, it is an extra cost.
Yeah, no, definitely when you get to like 3, 4, 5X,
it's
cost. And we usually try not to charge people that though. We don't get orders like that too often, and when we do, we want to accommodate you, because we're not charging the shipping. We're still making more money off of it than if you ordered it off Pro Wrestling Tees, and you're still getting that personable experience. You're getting the 8x10. You know what I mean? So there's more to it than just going on the website and just saying, "Oh, there it is."
Got you, yo, kid. You a good salesman too, man. I want to buy a bunch of shit from you, Tony. Goddamn. But yeah, so someone heard 2X, and they're gonna be making jokes, and I can kiss my ass. I'm husky. I'm Diesel anyway. So all right, you got enough of this nonsense. You got a lot of stuff to plug. So the floor is yours, Tony. Plug away, my friend.
Right on. So if you guys want to follow Tony Chini, it's really easy. You can follow me on everything. You can't say, oh man, I don't have that, so I can't do it. Oh man, I don't have that, I can't do it. No, trust me, I'm everywhere. So you have it, and you could follow me. So you go on Facebook. You could actually just look up Tony Chini, or you go on Facebook.com/Tony Chini Stub Your Toe. And you can find my official page. You could give that a like. I share all the same stuff from my Twitter and Instagram. The Twitter and Instagram is @TonyChini96. We also have the Mob Squad Instagram and Twitter, and Royal Familia if you want to keep up on the tag teams, and Francesca, of course, @Francesca Chini. But then on top of that, if you guys want, speaking of Francesca, for those of you who know, we have the Fran's Fiery Habanero Sauce. It's out for sale. If you go to ltw-live.com, you can get it. It's a nice tingle on your tongue, but a great taste going down your throat. I swear to you. I don't like hot stuff, but I can eat the Fran's Fiery Habanero Sauce. On top of that, If you guys want, go over to my Cameo page. I sell cameos for $10. They're personalized video shout outs. I'll say whatever you want. I'll sing happy birthday. I'll cut a promo on your friend, whatever you need me to do. But right now, what I want you guys to do is go on the page and join the fan club. It's absolutely free. It's basically like giving me a follow on Twitter. But join the fan club on Cameo, because on Friday, there's going to be a huge announcement, a big interactive experience with me and possibly Francesca. So, guys, definitely check that out. Join the fan club. It's absolutely free if you want to be the first notified about this huge experience, huge opportunity that we have coming up.
What else you got? Anything else?
No, I think that's about.
Did you cover Twitter? Did you get,
well, of course,
IG, Twitter.
Yeah, there's TikTok too. I almost forgot about that. We've been going live on TikTok the last couple of pay-per-views and like after Raw. We just started doing that. It's a new thing for us, but we're going to be doing it a lot more often. So if you follow me at Tony Chini on TikTok, then you could follow, of course, the TikToks that I post, which I don't post a lot, but we have been going live very often, and you usually see me and Francesca on there. The other night, it was me, Francesca, and Zach Ruby. You know what I mean? I might have a couple other people on there, but you guys coming on there, sometimes you guys send us the gifts and the fire emojis and all that. You might not know what that means, and trust me, I don't really either. But it means that they're watching, and it means that they're invested. So I appreciate you guys coming on and watching the live feeds.
And then, he got Twitter and IG and everything else. If you just basically type his name, Tony Chini, Chini, you're going to find him, and he will show up everywhere.
You just look it up on Google.
Yes, Google.
I mean, honestly, you'll just find them all.
Everything. I'll list it in the thing too. Yeah, I'll have it listed on the bottom of the docket sheet that I put at the end of every episode. It has basically all of your stuff. Yours is gonna be like 9 pages, and they're all gonna find you. They're gonna find you in every capacity.
I told you, you can't say, oh man, I don't have Instagram, so I can't. Oh, I don't have Twitter. Oh, I don't have this. It doesn't matter because I got it all. I have my. I will find you on MySpace. All
right, forget about it. When you play, it just plays your rap remix that you did on your YouTube page. See, I do my research, Tony. I do my research. My last thing I wanted to add is that I saw a couple of your your fan videos. It's really heartwarming. Folks dig you. Folks legitimately love you. So shout out to you, Tony. So that's going to be it for This Will Be Named Later, episode number 9 with my guy Tony Chini. Follow, buy, subscribe, everything else in between. Support independent wrestling, because if you don't, somebody else ain't. So you got to do what you got to do for the hobby that you love. Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you're listening, and if you brand new, hit subscribe on Spotify or I don't know. He knows socials. I don't know anything because I'm old. So subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, everything in between. We love you. Have a nice night. Peace out.
And if you don't want to like it, and if you don't want to subscribe, you can go stub your toe. Arrivederci.
Yeah. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. That's that. What a show. I hope you learned something. If you didn't, that's on you. Want to send thanks to Tony, Mr. Tony Chini, for showing up. It was a great conversation, a great time. I enjoyed myself greatly, and I hope you guys did as well. If you would like to be a guest on This Will Be Named Later, it's very simple. You can just hit me up on Twitter at, twitter.com/OCWFed, directly to me, or OCWFed@gmail.com, the old school classic way. We're here to talk to you. If you're a creator of any kind of capacity, I want to sit down and shoot the breeze. So, that being said, thank you so much once again. Have a nice night. Peace out. And keep it tight, all right? Like the song says. Woo!